Good afternoon and happy Saturday, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. We have a very, very special guest and special show today. I've got with us the lovely, the talented, from the legendary British art rock band Renaissance, Annie Haslam. Annie, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's my first time on here.
Yes, first time on the show, and I think first time since you've done anything with Sea and Tranquility in about like 8 years. I think you did an interview with us.
It's a long time. I thought something was going on, you know?
Yeah. So Annie and I, the last time we actually saw each other in person, I'm going to say is at least 15 years. Because I know you were at Nearfest pretty much every year for a bunch of years, and you and I used to always...
I was there selling my art.
Right.
Yeah, and that's when I first met Roger Dean there.
Yep.
And then we got to play there for it was their last show, wasn't it? Their last weekend. Yeah.
I used to love going to the vendor room, and you would have your paintings there, and we'd sit and chit chat for a couple of minutes. And
Roger bought a couple of paintings from me.
Yeah.
Which was quite, I thought, oh, that's good, you know. It was great. I was in the same room with him, and it was wonderful. There's some wonderful things there that they were selling, you know, as well, as far as, you know, as old music stuff and incredible things. It was really, I really miss it, actually. I did a Zoom thing with them last week, actually. It was my first Zoom thing. And so I did it in my art studio, and it wasn't very good. Apparently people said it was going in and out. So that's why I'm in a different room now. So you can, hopefully, is it clear? Am I clear?
It looks good. Yeah, it looks good.
Good.
Yeah, I like the brick behind you. It looks very...
English.
Yeah.
American English. Yes. I've got Mozart behind me there. I can see that.
There you go. So before I get started with what I had normally planned here, I just read, like, literally right before we hopped on, that we lost Peter Green this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. 73 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm 73. I don't feel it, you know. I feel like
that's the important thing. Yeah, and he passed in his sleep, so I'm not really sure what happened.
That's a shame. I'm sad about that. No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know Peter at all? Have you met him?
I think maybe once. Yes. Yeah. Long time ago. Maybe in the obviously 70s, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sad loss. Great talent.
Yes.
So yeah, sorry, I didn't want to start this off on a downer, but I just read it right before we started talking, and I was like, oh man.
Well, every day this is something going on, but yeah, we're losing people. It's kind of sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming here.
Thank God for music, because it keeps us young.
Absolutely. I tell people that all the time. Yeah.
That's what's helping me get through what's going on, you know, good music and, you know.
Yeah. So speaking of what's going on, so this is a weird year for everybody. And I think for a lot of us, whether you're in the music industry or not, 2020 has been kind of like a lost year. So how has all that's going on with COVID-19 affected your personal life, the Renaissance family? What did you all have planned before this started? And has this really put a damper on your plans for this year?
It's kind of sad, because really this year I was going to be winding my career down. And but we got some incredible shows booked for us for our agent in New York. You know, we did another orchestra tour last October, and that's going to be a DVD, because that's been slowed down, mainly because my emotional state, as well as also getting together with people to do different things, you know, for you know, for the album, the artwork, and all kinds of things like that. It takes time, but so that kind of delayed that. But we had such a wonderful year coming up for the band, and I felt really proud, because it was just like a culmination in a way of all the hard work and all the time that the band members put in, because they just, everybody that's been in this band through the years, but particularly in the last, you know, 10 years, love the music so much that they just play it from their hearts. You know what I mean? That is, not everybody can play our music, because it's not easy. You know, it's not easy to sing a lot of it as well. You know, it's not easy stuff, but it's wonderful. We had all these things lined up. I went to England to edit the DVD in January, and I came back, and we went into rehearsals on the 12th and 13th of March, course, just prior to that, this is when this all started, and we saw
Sure.
it in the news, and kind of, you know, it was another thing in the news at that point, wasn't it? Like something's, you know, you had no idea what was coming. And we were in rehearsals. We were going to Brazil for some shows. And we were there in 2017. We were really excited. But then the week before rehearsals, I started to get this gut feeling, and seeing the news, just everything was escalating so fast.
Very quickly.
And I thought, well, you know, the promoter in Brazil said, no, we're still going through with this. And because it hadn't reached there yet at that point. So we did one rehearsal, and Mark Lampariello, Mark Lambert now, he changed his name because nobody could pronounce it, he got sick of it. So Mark Lambert, and he's a wonderful guitarist, and but he lives in Sao Paulo. He married a Brazilian lady, so he was already out there. So we rehearsed, the five of us, on the 12th, and I was getting this terrible feeling, and I was a little concerned if I pulled out that I could get sued, because we had a signed contract and everything. But I thought, I've got everybody else to think about here. You know, I've got a whole band of people responsible for their lives, basically, at that point. I thought, oh my God. And then that night, I was like, I tossing and turning in bed thinking, we can't do this. We can't possibly do it. What if we get stuck out there? And I was going out on the 15th with my boyfriend, David, and I was going to be doing some fantastic interviews with O Globo, which is like the biggest TV and newspaper in Brazil. Everybody sees it. It was so exciting. And we were leaving on the 15th, which was a Sunday, and the guys were coming in on the 17th. So the second, I said to the guys, I said, look, we did a good day's rehearsal, but, you know, we sat and had a coffee break and we were talking about it. And I said, look, I think what we've got to do is let's see what happens overnight. And then the next day, which was Friday the 13th, we went to rehearsals, and we sat down and had a coffee. We didn't do anything, because it was obvious that it wasn't going to happen. And I said to Rave Tessar is my right-hand person in music, and for a long time I've worked with Rave, and he's wonderful. He's our MD, and he's a very clever man, and we worked things out together. He's the one who got the orchestra together for us, and we went down that path. So I said to Rave, I said, we got to make a decision. And so we decided, you know, no matter what happened, whether I got sued or not, which I couldn't really think I would, you know, and under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to call Wayne, our agent. I called up, and the first thing he said was, Annie, what we're doing is the promoter called up, wants to reschedule for August. Can you ask the guys now if they can do it? And they all said they could, except Frank wasn't sure, the drummer. And so I thought, oh, that seems a bit soon if this is going to be spread. You know, you could just say, just before then, we just saw that Argentina had closed its borders, Chile, Colombia, they were all closing their borders, you know, back then. And so it was obvious that Brazil, you know, I love Brazil so much. I've got friends down there, and I knew it was going to be a problem, because I've been there and I've seen that. I've been in a favela. I was going to be putting a concert on for a favela. It's a long story, and I won't go into it, but I actually went into one where they were like, the guys that run it, these gun runners and drug lords and everything. My friend said, don't look in that building to your right, because there's guns in the window.
Oh boy.
So it was quite an experience, but I love it. I've got friends down there, and I just knew that it could be a big problem, because, you know, in one favela alone, there's 200,000 people that live in those shacks, and you know, it was, you could see it, what was happening, what was going to happen. So for him to say August, we thought no, and then of course we got another call saying, right, it's going to be next year in March. I don't know.
Yeah, we have no way of knowing, right?
I don't know. And we all said yes. I don't know if I want to go on a plane again. No, it's just, I don't know what's going to happen. And we had, we were also, another wonderful thing was Night of the Prog was going to happen in Germany. And we were headlining the first opening night. And we've wanted that for years, and we got that. That's rescheduled till next July. I'll be 74. But I don't feel 74. I've still got my voice, you know, and just praying that we're all, you know, something happens where there's a vaccine and a miracle will happen. We need a miracle in all areas, as we know.
We do.
Many, I'm not going to any political stuff or anything because I don't want to, you know. So we had that, and then I was supposed to go over to England to accept an award, a Life Achievement Award, and that's gone. And then I got my Christmas show coming up at Sellersville as well, and then there was another show that was going to be happening in October, and that's not happening now. So it's all, everything's gone.
Everything. Well, I mean, so it sounds like you are ready for that kind of like final burst of activity for your career, and now you have to kind of postpone it all. I mean, are you okay with that?
No.
No, but I mean, are you okay with? I know, yeah, we're not okay with it because I don't think any of us are okay with it.
I mean, there's nothing I can do.
No, there's nothing you can do.
I mean, I wake up in the morning. I was talking to Frank Pagano, our drummer, the other morning, and I said, Frank, I said, I don't know about you, but I said, it's just the morning's the worst, I think, because you don't know. Really, I mean, I have a lot to do myself because we've got the Indiegogo pledges. You know, we did an fabulous Indiegogo project, and all our fans came forward again, and I'm painting clocks and tissue boxes and paintings and all things like that, and I'm getting into that now. But it took me, I only started really doing it within the last 2 or 3 weeks, started getting down to it, because I just couldn't believe it. You know, and thinking, oh, that hard work that we've done, and all of a sudden, right, just as it's starting to climb up, it's taken away.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is, I think, is the people that have died through this as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's killer, you know, and people going out onto beaches and playing around and drinking pina coladas when people are dying. I don't get it. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't either, but
you know, I mean, everybody's. Yeah, I mean. People are going stir crazy.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what it comes down to. It people want to get back to normalness.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not fair. I don't mean to be judgmental at all. I mean, you can't, because maybe half of those people live in apartments that can't even go outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky. I've got a big garden here, and I can go outside, and there's animals, and there's geese, and there's, you know, growing tomatoes, you know. So I've got the distraction, but even so, it's a huge loss for the band after all that work. And I just pray that, you know, I'm try and stay healthy, and that I'll be able to, something will happen next year and we can make up for it next year.
Well, I guess that was my point. It's like, are you committed to, we will do this when we can do this? Well, and it's going to happen, right? 2
signed contracts again. So I've got the Brazil signed. So, you know, if the airlines are flying to Brazil, and you know, the other thing is that if they do the distance thing, that means that they're going to be, that's the main thing, I think, that they're trying to work out. How can they do the distance thing in a theatre, and how can people keep their masks on? But also then you've got the recycled air in the building or whatever going on at the same time. It's so many different elements to it.
It's very complicated.
It's very complicated. It blows my mind, actually. I wish, you know, sometimes I wish I was like a singer-songwriter, you know, and just go and do something with a guitar on my own, and you know. But the thing is, Renaissance relies on it's you know, the visual thing, the lights, you know, the ambience, because of that, and the way we move on, the way we dress, and that, especially with the orchestra. Now we work with the orchestra again. We don't want to stop working with that, you know. But it's kind of, I think that's one of the things I just thought, gosh, all that work and all that, well, for everybody, it's not just me.
Yeah,
but
true.
I guess our story is different because of all the tragedy with losing Michael, you know, in 2012. What do we do then? You know, do I carry on? And I'm glad I did. You know, we've done a lot of things. We did Cruise to the Edge. We did the Moody Blues Cruise. we went to Europe. We went all over the place. Went to Brazil, Argentina. So, I mean, if I popped off tomorrow, I'm not going to, but if I did,
You
I
better
mean,
not.
I'm never going to. I've just had an amazing, amazing life.
Yeah,
And
that's
everybody,
good.
you know, as I say, that it's really weird because Jeffrey Langley, who's our keyboard player now, Tom Brislin was before that, so you know Tom.
Yep.
And Jeffrey Langley is a fabulous. He's a great person, very funny, very funny. He's the youngest in the band, but it just so happened that at the top of my road, his in-laws live at the top of my road.
Small
It's
world.
the weirdest thing. You couldn't make that up.
No,
And
no.
it just silly things like that. But see, I'm going a bit loopy now. The other thing I'm very fortunate for is to have my art, my painting, because it's now I've started painting again. You know, I'm painting all the things that I need to. I owe, you know, different people a particular pet portrait. I love doing pet portraits, and I've got this one called Cookie. And this guy's a great supporter of the band, I did started to do it, and then it just fell apart, and then this happened, and to get back into things like that are really fine. Whereas, have you seen my artwork?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's very free and it's very fast, comes very, very quickly to me. But when I do something like a pet portrait, even though it's a caricature in a way, but a different kind of one, I have to spend time, and I haven't been able to give it that focus to do it because my mind's been all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but to paint, that's what I'm focusing on. I mean, different things, opportunities come along. I'm going to be on another Cleopatra prog album coming up, and I've been asked to sing Whiter Shade of Pale.
Oh, wow.
So that's wonderful. So I can still record, you know. I'm probably going up to Rave's, I think, studio to do that. He's got a studio at his home. But I've got a garage band thing that I've been trying to teach myself, and it's like I only use my right brain. I mean, the right-hand side of my brain. Is that the right thing to say? Or is that right? Or is that the right thing to say? But so some things I find it very hard to grasp, like technical things and stuff. So there's been a lot of swearing around that. You know, I do it to practice the way I'm going to sing a song, somebody else's song. I've got to make it sound like, you know, different. I don't want to copy anybody either. So
Right.
But I'm excited about that because, you know, yeah. So
Talking about like all these new projects and things. So it's been like 7 years since Grandini El Vento or Symphony of Light, depending on what you want to call it.
Yeah.
So have there been any thought to you guys maybe going back into the studio and doing something new?
No. When Michael was alive, he started to write a musical called Scheherazade. I don't know if that was the actual title, but he and Becky started it off first of all, and I did some of the demos for them. And it was going on for years and years and years, and he wrote some incredible music. And because Claire, Mickey's wife, let me hear some of the music that you know he'd been working on, and some of the things that I know that he wrote himself from years ago that we're going to go into it. And so you know, Rave and I talked about doing something with some of those pieces of music that he wrote, and it's good. I mean, we just haven't had the time to do it. I mean, it can't be an album. It can't be writing new stuff with the band. You know, everybody putting things. It's not. It has to be, you know, the what's the word? Like when we did Grandi Neo Vento, Mickey and I decided that we wanted to go back to something that felt a little bit like Turn of the Cards or something like that, which is always difficult to go backwards. You can't do it.
Sure.
Those albums, all our big albums were the five of us, you know, John, Cam, Terry Sullivan, John Tatt, Michael and myself, and plus Betty, you know. They were, there's nothing like them anyway, so you can't, do them exactly, but we tried to get that kind of orchestral feel and to them. And I think a lot of people like that album. And Grandinale Vento, yeah, I did a silly thing really, because I said to Mick, I said, why don't we do like a Sarah Brightman song? Because I love her voice, I love her singing and everything. And I said, she's done some wonderful things, just the feel that some of them have. I said, so that he came up with this. I went, wow, that's amazing. So I came up with his words and I called it Hail the Wind. Hail the Wind, I called it, first of all, as a working title. And then I thought, you know what? Why don't we do the chorus in Italian? And I don't speak any languages or understand anything other than Cornish, Lancashire, and English, and Scottish, and whatever, you know, that kind of thing. And so I did a very silly thing, and this is advice for other people if they think that it's a good idea to do it. Don't go online to find out what something means. Go to somebody who's Italian, you know. So I go online, I put Hail the Wind, and it came up with or as I pronounced it, Grandinale Vento. And I thought, oh my God, that's beautiful. And I wrote to Mickey, and I wrote the song, you know, and then I put the title in the chorus, and very little Italian. And he said, oh God, Annie, it's fabulous, you know. And so when we were in the studio and I did the chorus, just Jason Hart. Do you know Jason Hart? He was in the band.
Mm-hmm.
He works with Duncan Sheik a lot. And yeah, he was with us at the time. And he said, Annie, he called me up. He said, I heard the rough of you singing Grandinale Vento. But he said, I think, first of all, he said, you've got to sing May instead of me in one part. And I said, okay. And he said, but I think you should check the title. So anyway, we found out that actually Grandinale Vento meant a hailstone. Hailstone. And so, and I'd done the vocals, and they sounded fabulous. Grandinale Vento, it's beautiful, you know, but it didn't mean anything. And so it still didn't mean anything, but I had to sing it differently because we decided to keep the title. I said to Mick, he said, we've got to keep that title, it's so good. And so we fingers crossed when I was singing it, what we did, Rave said, I know a friend who lives down the road, a neighbour who's Italian. We'll get him to come in. He's also a musician, I think, as well. And he came in and sat with me. And so I started singing it Grandinale, and I was doing it for about an hour, and he said, oh, that's great, it's really good, but I think it was 4 hours to get that line right, to get it to sound right, but it was still a hailstone. And so hailstones in the wind, I guess. And I thought, oh God, we're going to get an email from some Italian somewhere. And I think probably about 5 people have written.
Because you knew it was going to happen, right? I mean,
you know what? I'd rather admit it.
Yeah.
And say, don't do it. You know, I'm very honest like that. Don't do what I did. It turned out fabulous.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a great album. It's a great album.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time a little bit. So you have been a part of what many people consider some of the finest prog rock albums of that generation of the 70s. And there's a few of them in a row that you guys released. So you got, you know, Ashes Are Burning, Turn of the Cards, Scheherazade, Novella, Song for All Seasons, you know, beloved albums. So how does it feel for you to be a part of such a strong string of albums? And is there any like favorite or two that you have amongst those?
You know what, I guess it's not only now, but looking back on everything that we've worked for, or when we bring somebody else in the band and we go back and listen to all the different things to decide what we're going to use for a tour, you know, because there's so many to choose from. There's not many duds except the instrumentals, which I don't know why that happened, but it did. I think there's at least one or two on our albums that are instrumentals. So Um, I still, yeah, I still don't quite believe that we did so much that we did. And then I love doing interviews because and a lot of people used to, it was always the same questions, but people are asking more and more different questions now, and then it makes me go back in time and talk about what did you do after Carnegie Hall? Well, we went to the third night. It was such an incredible experience with, you know, limos everywhere, which was, it was ridiculous really, but I mean it was wonderful. And we went to a club called Ashley's, and Terry Sullivan and we were the ones who were the dancers in the band, and we must have been dancing for 2 hours, jiving, and then people were bringing us drinks while we were dancing, you know. You know, all these amazing things that happened, you know. I mean, I know that I probably, people say, why don't you write a book? And I wouldn't want to, because I'd have to put everything in, and that would hurt too many people. And I'm not into, that's what people do, and just for money, I can't do it. Because
I'm sure you have good stories to tell.
I've got unbelievable stories, yeah, but not bad, you know, just funny and kind of shocking in a way, but still, we were, I guess we were one of the pioneers, weren't we, along with Yes and Procol Harum, all going back, Procol Harum, Pink Floyd, all it's kind of all the same. It was so exciting. I love the 70s. That's my favorite time for music.
And I love talking to folks who were in some of these classic bands from the 70s, because I was,
yeah.
you know, I was just a little bit too young. So I was born in the mid 60s. So
Right.
for me, I just missed out on a lot of that in the early mid 70s. So I love, like I talked to Derek Shulman from Gentle Giant about a month or so ago. And
I was just going to bring him up.
He has such great stories to tell.
And now he's got his own record label.
Yeah. And I talked to Andy Powell from Wishbone Ash not long ago. And it's just, all of you have such great stories, and you were all part of this wonderful movement that, you know, all of us who love it wish, especially, you know, for me, I wish I could have been able to enjoy that, you know, rather than kind of have to catch up on it later on, because by the time I was old enough to really start to go to concerts and things like that, it's like that movement kind of was already starting to kind of die a little bit.
Yeah. When it started to change, that was, let's see, what was that? As You Adore was kind of starting to change, wasn't it? I know David Henschel was the producer. I'm trying to think.
Right.
Was that Sire? Still Warner Brothers?
I think you were still on Sire at that time.
Yeah. And so the next two were IRS, Miles Copeland, and I guess we were pressured. I mean, I kind of followed. It wasn't particularly my idea to wear a denim jacket on the cover of an album, you know, with my hair back combed.
Did you get a lot of pressure from the record label like that? Because that was actually one of my later questions here. It's like, you know, you guys, at least here in the States anyway, not a lot of radio airplay. Then all of a sudden Northern Lights comes out, and you get to start to get play, at least here on the East Coast. And did you ever wonder, like, if, because you have some songs from early in the catalog, like Carpet of the Sun and Black Flame, that are very accessible and would have been good radio tracks. Did you ever like stop to think, well, what if a couple of those songs did get picked up by radio, kind of like Northern Lights did a little bit of time? And did Northern Lights prompt the label to say, okay, we want more of that?
That's what happened. Yeah, that's definitely what happened. Which is, I guess, you know, a natural thing to think, oh, well, you know, we're going to make some money here. And then that's when we started to think a bit more commercial, you know. That was, I think, the downfall of the band, really. I mean, there was a few songs that were on Camera, Timeline was a bit out there. But there were songs, for me personally, there were songs that anybody could sing. Whereas the songs that we created before weren't. They would, you know, Mickey would, on purpose, make them very difficult for me to sing, you know. He said, no, I said, oh, that sounds difficult. He said, you know, you can do it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I think I was trying to think, I thought that we put Carpet of the Sun out as a single, though, didn't we, in the 70s? I know that somebody did an edit on Mother Russia to make that into a single. you know, which you can't do. It's not that kind of music.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Northern Lights, I just finished my solo album with Roy Wood. Actually, let me think. Were we still? I was at the tail end of doing my solo album, Annie in Wonderland, and Roy kind of, he's a genius, really, with music, and he kind of taught me into doing all these scat singing in Nature Boy and treble tracking my voice, and I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. I thought it's going to be too commercial. Well, what a stupid thing to say, really, but I think Annie in Wonderland came out fabulous, and then at the same time as that, we just finished that, or close to. We were doing, we were doing Song for All Seasons and Northern Lights. We'd done the vocal on it, and then I said, oh, why don't we? I thought of Roy, and I thought, why don't we treble track my voice on it? And we did it, and he kind of went, bing, he just lifted it up, you know, just that simple thing, you know, that lifted it
All
up.
it took, yeah.
And it got to number 7, actually. People say 10, but it did actually get to number 7 in the charts. That was
Very good album.
We were in America on tour, and somebody shouted out, Dave Lee Travis is playing Northern Lights. It's Radio 1's record of the week or whatever. What? You're going on top of the pops when you get back, you know. That was another one. That was good. I think Hot Gossip was in one of them, and then Sarah Brightman was in that, wasn't she? Did you know that? She was in this. There was a dance troupe called Hot Gossip.
Oh, no,
and,
no.
They did the Top of the Pops, you know. They were the beautiful, you know, skimpy dress girls that came out and did a dance routine or whatever. And she was in Hot Gossip. She was in one of the ones that we did, I believe.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that was fantastic. I remember when first we did it, because everybody else looked big and I looked small on stage, they put me on a box and it had the map of the world on it. I think I was standing on Canada or something like that. Remember?
It's funny, like, I remember when I first started listening to Renaissance music, it was, you know, well after the 70s. I mean, through the 80s, I was listening to a lot of hard rock and metal. That was kind of my thing. But when I started to really get into some of the older progressive bands, like in the start of the 90s, you know, everybody's like, well, you got to listen to Scheherazade, Ashes Are Burning, and Turn of the Cards. And then I started after that, and those are classics. But then after I started to really get into Novella and Song for All Seasons. And, you know, I listen to those two albums now, and they have really, really held up well, just as much as those other three that I mentioned, yeah. I think. And Novella is a wonderful album.
Oh, it is. It's fabulous. Yeah, and so is, I think, so when we do Song for All Seasons on stage, it's so majestic and exciting all the way through. You know, and once we started with an orchestra again in 2017, I thought I was going to cry. You know, like it was just to hear it. Have you heard that live with the orchestra?
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. You know,
yeah.
What an amazing piece of music. Incredible. It was really quite exciting because I didn't write anything, so I didn't know what was coming. I mean, I was there when Mickey would, we used to use this place out in, oh gosh, where was it? Buckinghamshire, where was it? Little Chalfont. Anyway, we used, it was, they were like converted barns for rehearsals, and Jethro Tull was in one, we were in the one next to them, so we that's how we first met them. And I'd go and we'd all meet up, and Mickey would bring his guitar, and he had a little cassette machine he used for many years, little tape thing, you know, you press it, record, stop, that kind of thing. And he just put it all down on this little thing, these ideas, and then he'd play them. And then, you know, everybody would just sit and talk about it and get ideas. And to watch things grow was amazing, really. And it was like, and then I think, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to sing that. But of course I could, you know. It's just when you first hear it and you're not a musician, you know, you can't put it in order. If you're a musician, then you would know how to do it. If you were a writer, you'd know what you could do and what you couldn't. So, so that was really exciting. That was we another place in London somewhere. Oh, I know where it was. It was the market, the famous market, Covent Garden Market in London, and it's an area where it's all fruit and vegetables, and everybody's at 4 o'clock in the morning selling all the vegetables and everything. It's buzzing, and there's a studio there, and we were. Can you hang on a second?
Yeah.
Angel, Angel, my little dog. Can I get up for a second?
Sure, no problem.
Do you want to see her?
Sure, absolutely. I have 3 dogs here, so I love dogs. For everybody watching, it's so great when you talk to people who are animal lovers just like myself, and I think most of the folks that come on the show kind of fall into that category. So it's just I'm happy to meet another one. So I'm anxiously awaiting Annie's dog. There we go.
Yeah, she is.
Hello, Angel.
She was a little puppy mill dog. She was in a puppy mill for 3 years, giving babies from when she was born.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you've given her a much better life.
Oh God, yeah, she's a life of luxury.
Yeah,
she's a good girl. She's hot. As I said, I don't have air conditioning because of my throat, so she's wandering around going, where's the air conditioning?
I have 2 Siberian Huskies and a Great Pyrenees German Shepherd mix, and they love being outside, but man, during the summertime, they go step outside the back patio and they're like, oh, why is it not the same temperature out here as it is in the house? We want to go back in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. My cats as well. I've got 2 indoor cats and 3 feral cats outside. I did have 8 feral cats, but there's only 3 left now. But the 2 inside, one of them, Rufus, he just lies there and he goes, no sound. Like, oh, I'm just lying there. It's too hot.
It's too hot. I know. It's been terrible lately.
Yeah.
So I was looking, before we went on the air, I was looking at a lot of your tour dates that the band had played last fall, 2019. And you guys hit a lot of good venues and played quite a few places. I mean, that must have been pretty thrilling.
And one that was a surprise. I'm glad we got it was the Count Basie Theatre because
it's a great place.
We did that. I did that with my solo band in the 90s. I can't remember what it was. I was part of another show, I think. But whatever, we did it then. And everybody was doing it, but we thought, well, it is too big for us. The venue was too big. We might not sell the tickets because you've got to think about that. And that's why we weren't put in there. And then all of a sudden we got it. And we did really well. I mean, it was wonderful, actually.
Because that holds what, about 3,000 maybe, or 2,500?
It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's not quite as big as the Beacon Theater in New York City, but it's like
that's about 3 or 4, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
We did that with Fairport Convention and Steel Eye Span in the 80s. That was a great bill.
Yeah,
we got so well with them. We did several shows with them, all three of us, and took turns in headlining because we was biggest in it. No egos, it was just fantastic. The Count Basie Theatre, New York Town Hall. We'd done that. Did we do that before? Yeah, we did it the year before, 2 years before. Yeah.
I think the venue that I like the most, where I've seen the band, was the Egg up in Albany, New York. That is just like a perfectly sized place. The acoustics are wonderful. You feel like you're right there with the band, right?
Yeah.
And it's just such a wonderful place. I think some of the best shows I've ever seen have been there, including Renaissance. I saw King Crimson there 2 years ago. It was amazing. Just a really, really great place.
Well, but with the last 2 times though, we played in the big room.
Yeah.
Which is it's Kitty Carlisle, isn't it? The big room. What's it called?
Yeah, I forget the name of it. Yeah, the big room is nice though. Yeah.
Yeah, Kitty Carlisle was married to, I think, Moss Hart, or was it Richard Rogers? Because I'm in Oscar Hammerstein country here. They were just all around this area. They all came from, but that room is fantastic. The big room at the Egg.
It is.
We did the smaller Egg. I know. When we first told we were going to play the Egg, you think, what is it with American? It's bloody names, you know. People look at you the egg, and
And you know, from the outside, it kind of doesn't even look like an egg. It just looks like a weird
I,
shaped building.
I enjoyed the audience, but I didn't like the way the stage was set and kind of just the way we were looking up at the audience. It was kind of odd. I didn't quite like it, but yeah, that was we were there once, and it was Halloween, and I got everybody a pair of dark glasses, and the first encore was the Monster Mash. And Rave, our keyboard player, he sang it, and we all. Our sound man said it was the best song we did all night. It's great. It was in an uproar. See, that's what I like about being in control now. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I kind of was pushed into the background before. You're laughing too much on stage, stop giggling, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, all that kind of thing. But the audience loved it. And that's what laid the problem was, you know, because the audience loved it too much, really. And but anyway,
that's what it's all about. The first time I ever saw Renaissance, I remember, I think the last song you played was Ashes Are Burning, which is probably my favorite song from the band. And I don't normally cry at a concert, but I was just so happy to hear it. And you guys played it impeccably. It was so emotional. And I just had tears of joy coming down my face. And I was like, this is what love and music is all about, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's unbelievable music. Yeah. And there's nothing like it.
No.
Even now, really.
So in closing, what's your favorite song to play live? What's the one that gives you the most enjoyment, no matter how many times you play it?
Well, there are two.
Okay, two is good. Two is better than one.
Yeah. The first one is, I think, Song for All Seasons.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Song for All Seasons. And of course, we did play Island as well with the orchestra, which is a song that got me the job. You know, I brought Jim McCarthy over. Did you know that for the last? I flew him in, and he came and joined us on stage. He wrote the Keith Ralph. Yeah, that was a phenomenal situation. Yeah, it was wonderful. So yeah, Song for All Seasons, and a song I wrote with Mickey for a Grandinale Vento, which became Symphony of Light. Mm-hmm. And the song was Symphony of Light. And it's about Leonardo da Vinci. And so that I remember saying to Mick, he we were doing this. He had some of the middle part of the music, which was kind of up tempo and a little bit. And I said, you know, Mick, I said, I'd love to write a song about Leonardo da Vinci. He said, no. He said, it's too literal. So I said, do you remember this song? Starry, starry night, la 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 da dee dee dee. You know. He said, yeah. I said, do you know what it's about? He said, no. I said, Vincent van Gogh. And so he said, well, no, you know, that's. And I thought, so I've got this giant book on Leonardo da Vinci's paintings, and I took it up there the next time we were in the studio, the Rave studio, put it on Rave's piano, and it just weaved its magic. And then Mickey came up with this piece at the beginning of the song that was slow, and I played it over. Rave made me a disc, CD that I could play in the car going home. And I got this. It was like washing over me, all these words. I had to keep stopping because I wouldn't say I'm a songwriter. Sometimes I come up like Blessing in Disguise is another favorite, you know, just because it just kind of came out of nowhere without me even thinking about it. And this was the same thing. And I had to keep stopping the car. And by the time I got home, I'd finished the first part of the song. And so when we got back, and I said, I wrote the first part, and he loved it, and that became one of his favorite songs.
There you go.
I just love it. And not if I'm having a bad night, but it's in a part of the show where I sing that, and it just kind of lifts me to another place.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like there's nothing like music. I mean, what we do here since this has been going on, I've been trying to wear a different pair of earrings every day.
There you go.
Well, I'm not a big dressing up person with flowery dresses and things. I've never been like that. And then I decided I wanted to make because I'm vegetarian, really do some different things. So I started making some Indian food in the last, spent a fortune on the spices, and so started doing that. But so when we have dinner, if it's a pizza, we'll listen to it. Alexa, could you play some Italian music? Oh.
We do that all the time here too. There you go, right? And if I didn't have the headphones on, mine would have heard you say its name, and something would have been playing downstairs.
Alexa, stop.
Modern technology, right?
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Oh God! But whatever we're eating now, we'll put on that. We had Indian music last night, and so it's great. It's really just to try and do something. It's music, and you think about things like this morning. I thought, and I've thought about her before because I did get to see her live, Peggy Lee. I got to see her in the early 70s. I was in Birmingham, Alabama, that's right, with Miles Copeland. We were in this big hotel, and it said Peggy Lee was playing in the cabaret downstairs, so we had Peggy Lee on this morning, and it just, that's what's lifting me right now, keeping, and my painting, and staying in touch with friends. It's wonderful to have FaceTime and Skype. Oh my God, I think it's important to try and remember as many people as you can. Because people are on their own, and some people don't like to call because they feel like they might be bothering you. Yeah. So, but
do you have any paintings at hand that you could show real quick? Anything like close by?
Yeah.
And I know our viewers would love to see them.
This is Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, look at that. That's great.
I did this a few years ago, but listen to this. I've got to show you something. Can you see that clearly? That dragonfly?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's clear?
Yep.
Well, I've been growing tomatoes, my boyfriend and I. Look, you're going to see this tomato.
Okay.
You'll never see this again. That's a dragonfly.
Wow, look at that.
That's in my painting. So
it's identical, right?
It's not kind of, you see how different it is, not.
Yeah. Wow, look at that. Now that you can't make up, right?
No, but you know what happened? The weirdest thing is my boyfriend David put a new kitchen floor in for me. And so he took out 2 or 3 layers of linoleum, and at the bottom on the board, whatever it was, the final piece, charcoal it looked like, was that dragonfly.
That's wild.
And I'd already done that painting, and it's under the kitchen floor. I took a picture of it, and then I dropped my camera and lost the picture, but it's in there underneath on the floor.
Wow. That's great. I'd almost be afraid to eat that tomato now. It's like,
Dave said to me, when are you eating the tomato? I said, I'm not going to. He said, are you going to let it rot? I said, yeah.
That's too funny. Too funny. See, this kind of stuff you can't make up, guys. I'm telling you. Awesome. What else does Annie have for us? And before we go, I have a Carnegie Hall question for Annie too. That'll be the last one. Oh, there go my dogs.
I'm back.
The husky howls in the background.
This is one of the painted clocks I'm doing for the pledges for the Indiegogo thing.
Wow, I love the colors on that.
Yeah, and then this is a
beautiful
painting. Hang on.
And for everybody watching, if you go onto Annie's website, she has all of her paintings that are available on the website.
This is Ashes Are Burning.
Oh, wow. Great.
I
Great
did
colors.
that
Great
was
colors.
behind us on stage. I had a painting for each song. In 2017, I did a painting 12 by 24, and they were blown up to 12 feet by 24 feet. And then I just did this one. It's kind of quite unusual.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's clear to you, but that's a face.
I like that.
And that's like a turquoise sea.
Yeah.
Just finishing that one off. Yeah, they're all different. I mean, this is a place. See, I do these things without even thinking about them. I must be around the bend.
That's great stuff, Annie.
Yeah. So
And I got one last question before I let you go, and
yeah.
this should be kind of fun for everybody. So I was reading, in fact, I think it was in the recent was esoteric reissue of the Carnegie Hall live album. There was some commentary from you about how parts of the album you're not crazy about because the songs are too long, too much jamming. So what did you do with yourself while the guys were out doing these 15-minute long solos and things like that? Were you just all right, I'll let them do their thing. I'm going to go hang out backstage and socialize.
Get my iPhone.
Because you had plenty of time to do it, right? I mean,
I used to get into it, but I'm trying to think what I used to do, because I was never nervous. So, when the long solos, what I used to do and still do is move back and then kind of tap my foot, or do that like I used to do in the 70s. The aloof look.
Yep.
And and then I used to go with my hand on my hips, doing all that business. But I know I look at some of these things that they got on YouTube, and I'm going, did I do that like this?
You certainly did.
I had the figure to do it, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, great stories. It's so good to look back on those times, and definitely a different era.
I just pray that that for everybody really, that something happens, and we need a miracle really. But the vaccine, everybody needs to really be careful and look at the big picture and not just think about your own little enclave of people. We got to think of everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing here. Everybody's got to think about what's going on for other people.
Well, we're going to get through this. It's just it's a matter of time. We'll get through it.
Yeah, it is.
And I think everybody's looking forward to seeing Renaissance back out on the road again. So all I can tell everybody is to keep in touch with Annie's website, right? Annie, you want to give your URL links to the website?
Yeah, it's anniehaslam.com, but my Facebook, I think I use more than anything, to be honest. Put paintings up and what I'm doing in my own life as well. I had frog stock here this year when the frogs came out. No, actually I called it frog stock, and my boyfriend Dave said, well, actually it's the toads that are doing all the singing. It's the toads mating that I did that. But anyway, I do different things of what's going on in my life as well as the singing, and people like that, and they love animals, and people, they just, you got to be a real person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You got to be real. People like to share that, and then I share musical things. They love that as well. And I'll put really silly English comedies up, for people to see every now and again that they've never seen and never heard of.
Great stuff.
But you've got to laugh.
Yeah.
You have to laugh. If you can laugh, that's another big thing,
Oh yeah, laughing's one of the most important things that we have. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My dad was an amateur comedian singer, and brilliant at laughing.
Awesome. Well, Annie, thanks so much for spending some time with us. We greatly appreciate it. And hopefully we have you on the show again, maybe next year when we got some tour things to talk about and stuff like that.
That would be wonderful.
Awesome. Great. So thanks again to Annie Haslam from Renaissance. Make sure you visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Again, thanks to the great Annie Haslam. Have a great day, everybody. And make sure you be on the lookout for Renaissance playing at a theater near you, hopefully sometime in 2021. So take care, everybody. Annie, thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Thank you, Annie. That's